Oh, good. Good afternoon, everyone. I bet you're ready to go home. It's still snowing here in the North Country. Greentree Naturals has been certified organic since 1992. Our number is actually 41. So we have been certified for a long time. Our farm is located 12 miles northeast of Sandpoint. We raise a wide variety of vegetables, herbs, flowers, and garlic. We sold at the farmer's market for 28 years, and I just officially retired to sell the majority of our produce at our farm stand 1 day a week. And by retired, that just means that we're not doing farmer's market anymore. We still supply, we work with one restaurant that we've been with for over 20 years during the peak of the summer season, and we sell to the natural food store and have a small CSA, and then our farm stand is 1 day a week. And then I teach on-farm organic gardening classes through the summer months and often host on-farm research projects with both U of I and WSU. And we have an active internship mentorship program. And 2 years ago, we started growing seed for contracts through a seed company in Snake River Seeds out of Boise. So that's a new enterprise for us. And we will continue farming until we're just not physically able to do it anymore, simply because we love what we do and we have a passion for it. And some people retire to do something else. This is what we want to do, so we'll continue with that. Next slide. Nothing's happening. Hang on. Okay. There we go. So, where are we? We already did that one. Next slide. There we go. Sorry, it's afternoon. I need a little more coffee. So before I became a farmer, I was often experimenting with sales at different types of venues. This watermelon juice might have been a Southern delight, but nobody wanted to buy it. I ended up with 100 pounds of watermelons sitting around. We ate watermelons for a long time. In the early days, when I was in college, I made homemade tortillas and bagels and organic breads that I sold at the student union. So I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit for marketing. I even had a Kool-Aid stand when I was a kid. That's the first year I was at the farmer's market, which I started at in 1990. Winters are long here in North Idaho, and I like having something to do. So I've always been doing assorted arts and craft projects. And I used to do craft shows for a long time before I started at the farmer's market. And we started out with just doing herb and vegetable starts with some of my craft items, and then I was still working at the Forest Service for a number of years there, and the farmer's market was kind of a place where I was just earning extra money for income. And I started out with a small table display of just a handful of items, and by the time I quit, we had 3 tables and 15 value-added products and sold over 30 different types of produce, which we still now do, but we do it at our farm stand. So this is kind of just an overview of how we've grown our business and gone through some transitions with our different enterprises. Reading over this outline, you can kind of see that our marketing slowly progressed over the years. When we started with the first restaurant in Sandpoint, I couldn't find any information on it, so I ended up taking a lot of notes and ended up writing a book on selling produce to restaurants. Figured out what worked well through that process, and after the first year, we added a couple years, we added 5 more restaurants, and we were feeling pretty secure with that, and discovered right away that by the following year, 3 of those restaurants went out of business, which is not an unusual thing in a community like ours, but it's probably that way everywhere. Well, once we got confident with the restaurants and then that didn't exactly work out, we reevaluated, reassessed, and that's when we added our CSA. And I think we were the first CSA in the region as well. I mean, somebody's got to start out, right? So as you can see by this outline, after each endeavor, we always took the time to assess how it went, and looking at, part of that was really looking at the time investment and how that worked for us. The Sunday brunch on the farm, we still have people asking about that, but we discovered while we sold out and people loved that, the amount of time investment was just, we weren't coming away with very much money with that. So we shifted and started doing the Sunday afternoon high tea, which was a little less preparation and working with the chef, and we had music come and play music while the tea was going on, but still we gave each of those enterprises about 3 years to try out and go through that process, and we still found that we'd do a lot of work and come away with not enough money to make it worth our while. So we keep exploring different aspects, but I think as now that we've come to the age that we are, we're pretty comfortable with making this transition. I think selling at the farmer's market is really a good place to start, and for a small acreage farmer, it really is all about relationship marketing. It's about establishing a relationship with the customer and having that direct contact. Since we've transitioned to the farm stand, a lot of our customers have followed us out to the farm. We do live on a fairly busy road, so we've gotten to know a lot of our neighbors, and making this transition of not having to pack things up and unpack them and set up and tear down has been a really nice transition for us. But I think the farmer's market is a great place to start. And when you're thinking about starting an enterprise, walking around and taking pictures or notes of displays of what you find appealing, look at what everyone else is selling, what is there an excess of, what does everyone have. I think a good idea to come by a market at the end of the day and look at what everybody's packing up and taking home, so you know what there's too much of. And really the farmer's market is a good place to start, but do your homework, take a close look at what's out there and try to do something different if you can. When we first started at the market, we were the only ones doing salad mix. And for a couple of years, we were the only ones doing salad mix. So it was easy for us to, well, nothing's easy about making salad mix, but we do about 25, 30 pounds of salad mix a week. And that was as much as we ever did, because that's as much as we could physically deal with in the weighing and processing. It takes as much time to harvest it, to wash it and bag it as it does to grow it. So really looking at that, it was a good enterprise for us, but in reassessing that over time, and as the farmer's market, we started the market when it first started up. So as more vendors came in, they were looking at what we were doing and going, hey, she sells all that salad mix. So we went from being the only one with having 5 vendors, 10 vendors, and now if you go to the farmer's market, everyone has salad mix. So we quit growing salad mix because it was no longer, if I start taking home more than I was selling, it's time to change the enterprise. So the point with that is it's good to reassess what you're doing every year and really take a close look at that, because it's going to change from one year to the next because of what the competition is. And that's way too much money to put into chicken food, taking it home and feeding it to the chickens. That's one of the reasons why we went into the CSAs, and we still grow salad mix for our CSAs and for catered events. And we may start growing it again for our farm stand because our customers are asking for it. I think value-added products are a really nice addition for the farmer's market, and a good thing to think about. I think it's also important to think about reinventing, reassessing what you're doing at least every 5 years. Take a close look at that, because that's a crucial part of the success of your market. When we first added jams for sale, they weren't selling all that well. But I overheard a couple of our tourists make a comment that I want something that says Sandpoint on it so I can take it home as a gift. I'm always taking notes when I was at the farmer's market. I keep a little 3x5 pad with me. I listen to my customers. If they're talking to each other, that's what they said. We took our jam off the shelf, changed the labels on it, put made fresh in Sandpoint. The sign there says, farm fresh jams, fresh from our farm to your table. Our jams are made in small batches using sun-ripened, certified organic fruits and berries and the finest, freshest ingredients to ensure quality and a delicately sweet taste. Just in changing our label, we went from barely selling to selling out. We always sell out everything that we would take for our jams. So we kept the same product, but we changed how we were doing it. So Stirfry Special is something that we started doing when everyone else at the market has squash for $1, $2 a pound. I mean, we grow 60 zucchini plants. We do that much every year, and that's as much as we will ever grow. And we've been talking about maybe downsizing with the zucchini, because if you've grown zucchini, you know how that is. And the market for it, they need to be no more than 7-8 inches long. So that means we're harvesting zucchini every single day. So looking at when the time is at the farmer's market, when it's flooded with zucchinis, I started looking at different ways to do it and started doing these stir-fry specials, and went from $1 a pound to $3.75 a pound. Pretty good increase. Took more time to go through the process to weigh it and bag it and go through that. But and the thing with doing something like a value-added project in packaging products, it's really important that you be aware of what the food safety rules are. No cut or chopped vegetables, just whole. But the Stir-Fry Special has been a good thing for us. Signage is a big one. Most of the people at the farmer's market over the years always knew me for my signs, give peas a chance. I mean, how cute is that? So we would experiment with different things, like doing bulk peas where people could take them and weigh them out. Well, if I put $6 a pound on bulk peas, people were not so inclined to buy it. But Sandpoint looking closely at what our customer base is, which is a lot of tourists, people only want a handful. So I do 2 ounces in a little bag. It's something people like to grab, and sells. We end up getting a little bit more for our money. And we do the same thing with beans. I found that if I do my beans I usually sell them 12-ounce packages or half-pound packages for $3 or $4. Sell that every time. Last year we started bunching second cuttings of broccoli in bunches for $3, which ended up being $3 for a half a pound. So we were actually getting $6 a pound for our broccoli. Nobody ever even thought about what it was. It was just fresh, beautiful broccoli, just the right amount, a handful. So think about that. Less for more, I think, is a good model. It's been a good model for us. I think it's important to not only assess your market, but assess the crops that you're growing every year. And that changes pretty consistently for us. I mean, every single year we try something new, and every single year we find some things that, I mean, there's always successes and failures with that. And I know when we first started harvesting garlic in the early years, we would often, we do a hardneck garlic that has scapes. We'd feed the scapes to our goats to worm them, because garlic is a good worming. And then one day I went, well, maybe we should try selling these. So we started selling bunches of scapes, and then I ended up turning that into garlic scape pesto and doing that as a value-added product. That was, people really loved that and liked it. Well, now the food safety regulations have kind of shifted that, where it's not as readily available for us to be able to do that, but we still sell the garlic scapes. We now send out a weekly fresh from the farm email list to our customers, and that's kind of, since we've not doing farmers market anymore, we've shifted how we promote our business because we're not as much in the public. People have to come to the farm to find us. I have a colorful postcard that I send out to everyone to remind them that we're here, something they can put on the refrigerator. And our transition from farmers market to the farm stand, our biggest challenge has been parking. So we're expanding our parking area because we're only open from 3 to 5:30 one day a week. And as we're reassessing, making this change from all those years at the farmers market, it is a lot of things that we always grew that were best sellers at the farmers market. We're finding we don't sell as much of those at our farm stand, so we're shifting what we're doing a little bit there and adjusting accordingly. The point is we're reassessing every single year what works, what doesn't work, and looking at the bottom line of looking at our harvest records, looking at our sales records, and what brings us the most profit for the least amount of physical effort is always a goal. And kind of to sum it up, I think it's really important to not be afraid to try something different. We kind of tend to think the one thing works and we're not going to change anything, but everything's constantly changing. That's the only consistent thing with what we do. So whatever it is, try something new, start small, try it out first and take good notes and see how it works. And pay attention to your time and money investment. This should be considered when you're setting prices for items. How long does it take to harvest a pound of beans? I mean, in reality, I should be selling those beans for $15 a pound. And sometimes the more challenging it is to harvest, the more I want to charge. So those are things to think about. Start small and keep good notes. Like I said, I keep a little pocket-sized notebook with me all summer long. I keep it in my pocket in the field. When I'm picking beans, when I'm doing different things, I'm always thinking about how I can improve what I'm doing. And I want to write it down so I don't lose that thought. Listen to your customers. What do they want? Now that we're at the farm stand, I just sent out an email to all my customers asking them, what do they want? What did they, when they came to the farm stand, what was missing? So far, what they're asking for is things that I'm not willing to grow. So we'll see how that goes. But if it's not selling, figure out why. Assess the situation, make those changes as needed. And I think it's really important to pay attention to what the trends are. When I go to the grocery store, I walk through the produce aisle, I check out the things that are bruised, the things that don't look like they travel well. I often will go through the magazines and pull out the food magazines and flip through them, look at what the new trends are in the chef magazines. I think it's important to always be looking at exploring different ways of marketing your product. Our customers love that we send out a weekly list of what we have at the farm stand each week, and we hand out our postcard with farm photos and with the farm stand hours for people to put on the refrigerator. And it's important to investigate those rules and regs associated with selling a particular item before investing the time and money into it. Don't go and do something without investigating what the rules and regs are, because you can invest a lot of time and money into it and find out that it's illegal. I know there was comments about Joel Salatin several times, and he's got a book out that everything I do is illegal. That's true. I mean, you gotta do your research and pay attention to that. So that was quick.
Great. That's great. Thank you, Diane. I'm waiting to see if any questions are coming in. So when you're thinking about a beginning farmer and they're starting to think about what their personal aptitudes are, or their personal, what they really like and don't like about engaging with people, how would you say that might be considered in terms of how they approach their marketing? And then the other thing is, when you're selling at a farmer's market or a farm stand, what about your personal presentation? like in terms of like how you engage with your farmers, but also how do you think about how you dress, how you, you know, think general things like that, and how that impacts the customer's connection with you?
Well, ultimately, it bottom line, it's about establishing relationships. I mean, there's a reason why I'm the person that's doing most of the sales, because my husband Tom doesn't really want to talk to anybody. He did do the farmers market with me intermittently, but I can say that at the farmers market, I often had people, I mean, at least once or twice a week over consistently, people would come up and tell me that I had the nicest display there. And I have people that come to the farm stand, and my farm stand looks pretty much like my farmer's market booth, and people come and say how much they love coming there because it's matches our farm, I guess. I mean, one of the things with the farm stand, though, is that they can go and walk through the gardens. So we have our fields are open for farm tours during the farm stand time. But I think it's really important that if you're selling a farmer's market or a farm stand, you have to be engaging. Part of it is establishing a relationship. And those people that you connect with are the people that are going to come back and be longtime, loyal customers. And I discovered over the years of going to the farmer's market, and when I was tired, I would get a little bit bitchy. Okay, I'm a lot bitchy, and those are days that I should have taken off and not gone to the farmer's market. And I know some of you have heard some of my stories, which we will not go into now, but I think when it goes back to that quality of life thing, if you're too tired, you should be staying home, because if you're biting people's heads off, that's not such a good thing. So I think you need to be representing yourself always in a professional way. And if you can't do that, you need to be staying home. I don't know if that answered all your questions, Colette, but kind of.
Yeah, it did. Well, I really want to thank you, Diane, and thank you, Ariel, for your presentations. Those are the only questions that we've had. I do think that people have really hung in there for a day with a lot of information and a lot of activity and interaction. So I'm going to show what is the final stretch. So we are wrapping up the live webinar portion of the workshop, and you will be at your local